Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, we're getting right back into it. We are getting this build series completed as fast as we can so that my girlfriend and I can watch movies in this new place. We're going to get a lot done in this video. I'm going to be putting up 6 of my speakers that make up the bed layer. We're getting the front left and front right speakers placed, which are the KEF 3160 RL loudspeakers, THX, and we are getting my acoustic panels put up, which 4 of those acoustic panels, if you're familiar with this channel, are also my speakers. In the dead center of my acoustic panels, 4 of them, I made an enclosure to house my other KEF QL 4100s, or they're CI 4100 QL KEF THX speakers. So we're going to get those put up. And I do have to do something special to mount the center KEF 3160 loudspeaker. At first I was kind of racking my brain as how am I going to do this, because here we have this issue of having the window for this room right here. Obviously nothing to hang it, and the speaker is obviously going to be dead center. So it's going to be right there. So I was thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? At first I was thinking, okay, I'll get some angle iron, aluminum or steel and mount it across here, and I would hang all the speakers off that. And then I thought, well, that's going to be a little tricky, especially with it being angle iron, because it would almost have to be a U shape. Like it would have to attach to the wall and then have a lip, because the way my speakers connect to the walls are French cleats. So it's like, that's not going to work. And then I thought, well, why don't I just use the standard French cleat system for my right and left speaker, because that's how it's going to work out. But for the middle one, I was thinking, well, why don't I just slot out an L shape in here? So I'm going to take these off, go to my router, slot out an L shape just big enough to get a probably 1/8 inch wall piece of aluminum, and run it through here and run it all the way through there. So I'll have a piece of aluminum angle iron between these two. And these are screwed directly into the stud, so I know it'll hold the weight of my speakers, which with the enclosure that I made custom for these, and then the actual speaker itself, it weighs about 45 or 50 pounds. I think that'll be more than strong enough. I hope. If not, then I'm gonna have to come up with a new method, but I'm pretty sure that will work. So fingers crossed. So we are also, if this video doesn't end up being too long, because I try to keep these videos about 20 minutes or 30 minutes long for my builds, we will also be mounting the projector. So the room will be, in terms of the playability for movies, it'll be basically 90% hooked up. All I'll have to do is run the speakers and then run and hook up the center speaker in a different video. But that's what we have planned for today. I am still going to be putting triple black velvet on this wall and the back wall behind me, and along this part right here, this angled part of the roof or ceiling. And then I still plan on doing fabric tiles. So let's jump right into the time lapse. Okay guys, so we have the 2 speakers up. This is the right LCR and this is the left LCR. And then next video we'll get this one up once I buy the aluminum angle iron and get the channels cut out of that to accept the angle iron. So next we are going to get the spots marked for where the panels are going to go. And in case you are not familiar with this process, or you're not familiar with my channel, The process is quite simple. You do need someone to help you do this. Once you have your speakers positioned where they are, whether or not they are floor standing speakers or in-wall, on-wall speakers, this process works for anything. What you do is you are going to sit down at your main central listening location, and then you are going to look at the wall. Friend or partner or anyone is going to help you, and they're going to just drag a mirror across in line with the tweeter. Make sure that they keep the mirror at the same level as the tweeter is. And they're just going to walk backwards very slowly. And the moment you see that first picture of the tweeter in the mirror, you're going to have them stop and mark it with a piece of tape. That'll be your first reflection point. Then they're going to keep going back slowly. Once you see it again, you're going to mark that spot, and so on and so forth. And now, depending on how big your room is, you could have, 12 reflection points if it's really long. This room is only going to have probably 2 or 3, but I'm putting up 4 panels, so I'm going to get my girlfriend to help me mark these out. Okay, so thanks to my girlfriend, she helped me find the first 2 reflection points, and then I'm just going to place another panel right here. So we're going to have 1 panel there, 1 panel there. That's going to contain one of the panels with the speakers, and the panel that goes right there will also contain one of the speakers. And then same thing on the other side, it will be mirrored. So we're going to jump right into the time lapse and get the holes drilled for the mounts. Okay, we got 3 of the panels up. This one does not contain one of the speaker enclosures. These 2 do. So if you guys are new to my channel, I have custom made acoustic panels that I made myself with the middle part housing an enclosure for my KEF in-wall THX loudspeakers. And I will put a link in the description down below of the video that shows off these, and I think I did the build of them. I can't recall, but I will put this in the description so you guys can check that video out. But here is the back of one of those panels that houses the KEF CI 4100 QL THX loudspeaker, which makes up my bed layer of surrounds. So it's just a normal acoustic panel that I made, which I do have a video on my channel that shows you how to make these acoustic panels. So if you're interested in making some acoustic panels for your own home theater or studio or any space that you want to quiet the echo and absorb some of those sounds, check out that video, and I will link that in the description down below. So those are up and it looks really good. Now we're going to go to the other side and mount 3 more. Same process and same thing as far as having a panel without the speakers in them and then a panel there. Now here's where we run into an issue. One of the panels does need to go right where the door is, unfortunately, to match the other side. And that's got to contain the speaker too. It's got to be one of the ones with the speakers in it. So I'm not exactly sure how I want to tackle doing that. I may come up with some type of mounting system that will allow me to mount it to the wall or to the door, and then I'll just have to take it off whenever I need to get into that closet, which is not only my clothes closet, but it's also my AV rack closet. Again, it's not ideal, but we make do with the space that we have. So I am not sure we're going to get that 3rd panel put up today. In this video, we'll probably just do the 2 and then I'll try to come up with a solution for that. Or I might even just have to make a custom speaker enclosure that I can kind of turn and pivot, and that'll just run like right along the trim of the door right there. That'll hug that. So we'll see. I'm gonna have to look into some designs, kind of brainstorm some things and see what I can come up with. See if I can get inspired by anyone else having some type of similar issue. But for now, those are the kind of the ideas that I'm floating around. We'll see what happens, but we're gonna at least get 2 of the panels mounted up, and then after that we will get the projector and the box for it right here mounted up there. And one other thing that helps big time, if you have to, if you have a home theater where you're mounting speakers, acoustic panels, anything, and they obviously want to be, if you want them at the same level, the same height, this is a tool that it will save you literally hours, because you'll have to get a ton of measurements, and then you'll have to make measurements on the wall. And especially like with the issues I was running into was like, okay, so I have my panel that is 4 feet, but then the speaker enclosure is about right here. You can kind of see it right there, and the tweeter is right here, and I wanted it as close to ear level as possible, which would have been 47 inches. It's a little bit lower than that, but it's close enough. Again, we make do with the issues and constraints of the room, because this house has a really sloped roof. Personally, I hate when housing designers do this type of thing. They do this thing where they dig into the room. It looks horrible, but whatever. This is why it's a rental. Anyways, off that tangent there, normally I would have put these up an extra probably 5 to 8 or 9 inches to get the tweeter in line with my ears, which is about 47 inches when I'm sitting down, which is what the left, center, and right are at. So there's a lot of measuring you have to do, a lot of measuring to get things just right. So I highly recommend that you go to your local Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, wherever, and pick up a laser level. These things are so cheap now. I saw one at Lowe's the other day from Klein. I think it was on sale for $59.99 or $69.99, maybe $49.99. I can't remember. I will link it in the description down below. Even if you don't get a name brand like a Craftsman or a DeWalt or a Bosch or Klein or whatever, you can get some really cheap Chinese made ones, no name brands off of Amazon for, I'm sure, as little as $20 or $30. They work so well. The nice thing too is that you saw it in the video. It projects a horizontal and a vertical line, and you can adjust each. So you can keep the horizontal plane and then, laser level, and then you can adjust the vertical one side to side, or vice versa. It's so awesome. I didn't have this in my first 3 theaters that I did, and if I had, it would have saved me 2 to 3 hours in each theater in terms of setup. So highly recommend you guys go buy one of these. Alright guys, so we have the 2 panels up, and we just have one more to go. This one is one of the ones that contains the enclosure directly in the middle for my KEF THX in-wall loudspeaker. And unfortunately, it is going to have to go on the door. But that's okay, it'll still work out. I'll just mount it like I did these ones. Then when I move out of here, I'll just patch it. Alright, so next we are going to get this projector mounted up here on the wall, the back wall. I made this custom box for it, which houses it and has fans, one that pulls air in. I believe this is the one that pulls clean, fresh air in, and this one sucks the hot air out, so one's reversed. And then it sits on the platform I made for it right there. So we're gonna get that up against the wall, get the holes marked out and drill the holes and get this mounted. Okay guys, so before we go ahead and mount up this custom shelf I made for the projector, we are going to put up the triple black velvet because I do not own this home. It is a rental. I'm not sure how long we're gonna be here. I don't wanna paint and have to repaint it. So triple black velvet is a good way to hide this hideous peach color and make it still look like a theater. So we're gonna put triple black velvet up, get the mount up, and then I will get the bottom part covered with triple black velvet as well. So this entire back wall of the theater will be all black, covered in triple black velvet minus the door area. Okay, so back to square one yet again. The metal wall anchors that I was using did not hold it as well. I had it mounted, I put maybe 5 to 10 pounds of pressure on it and it came right out the wall. For some reason it didn't really work, even though I've had good luck with them in previous theaters. It just didn't want to work, it didn't want to hold for whatever reason. I don't know if it has to do with the thickness of the drywall or what, it just did not work. So that just brings up a point, just whenever you're mounting anything in a theater or any space really that weighs more than 10 pounds, make sure you get it into the stud. You know, this is going to be right above where the center couch part is going to be. And that's exactly where I like to sit, and then my girlfriend will be sitting next to me. So if that had fallen and hit us, you know, it would have easily been a concussion. I mean, it could have been very bad because the projector itself weighs 23 pounds. And then with the frame that I made for it, the box, it probably adds an additional 5 pounds or so. So yeah, definitely get something like that mounted into the studs if you can help it. Luckily, I did manage to find the studs, and they were only about, I don't know, whatever that is, 8 inches or 7 inches or so. And I patched it up, and the paint is drying. You almost can't tell it was there, so once it dries. But yeah, it's looking good. And I got the stud marked out right there, and a stud marked out right there. So I'm going to drop the triple black velvet, get the shelf remounted into the studs, and then we will get the triple black velvet that goes on the bottom part to cover. Okay, so we have the triple black velvet up. We have the projector shelf and box up. We got the wires ready to go. All I gotta do now is get some triple black velvet above the door. Get some right there. And this wall will be complete. And see, that's the nice thing about this triple black velvet. It's relatively inexpensive. It usually goes between $16.99 and $20, and most of the time I'm able to get it on sale. I got this from Hobby Lobby, and they're almost always running sales on their fabric. So this was 40% off today. So just this amount to cover from there to there, which is about 12 feet, that was only 40 bucks. So not too bad. And it's really black. It looks very nice. I'm very happy with how it turned out. All right, it's time to get the 1-inch strips of black velvet attached to the screen that make up my border of the screen. Since my last video where I built this frame and attached the screen material, most of the wrinkles and impressions that had been left in it after it had been stored for so long have come out by themselves. And I think I'm going to be very happy with this screen. In order to get the proper tension, you just kind of have to pull off one side or one area and pull it upwards or outwards to get it to be properly tensioned and get rid of all those wrinkles. So I may have to do that a few more times before I'm ready to watch a movie, but it's already looking way better. So let's jump into the time lapse and get this border put on. So we are in the garage, obviously, and we are going to be attaching the black felt border to my screen. I do have some left over, but it is a 2-inch piece, and I don't want to therefore take off another basically 4 inches of potential screen real estate, because 2 inches on the bottom and 2 inches on top. So I just don't like the look of a thicker black border around the screen. I like the thinner look. So I made this very simple jig out of scrap wood, placed a blade in the middle, and then just enough space to pull this through, and it worked out quite well. I already pulled out the lengths that I need. I don't need to show that because it's just going to be boring and pointless, but you get the picture. You just push it through and it cuts it very nicely. So if you have some of this black felt sticky tape lying around that you have already made for or used for a previous build, and you're doing the same thing of wanting to make a thinner border on your next screen, this simple jig right here is all it takes to split it in half and get precise 1-inch thick cuts. Okay, so now it's time to get the triple black velvet on the rest of this wall and finish this screen wall up. All right, so the triple black velvet is installed on the screen side wall, looking really good. That wall is basically complete as far as the triple black velvet goes. The only thing we have left to do for that is triple black velvet this ceiling part, slanted ceiling. I'm still undecided as to whether or not I'm going to do triple black velvet on the walls, or if I'm going to try to do that gray panel, fabric panel that I was talking about. That's not an acoustic panel, but just a fabric wrapped frame basically to cover up the remaining stuff. But it's probably more work than I want to do for this theater. I might just have to suffer this horrible, awful salmon colored wall. It looks yellow in this light, but it's kind of more of a salmon color. Depends on the light in here. And just, realize that this is not my forever home, so I'll just have to deal with the awful color, because at least I got the triple black velvet on the screen wall and the back wall. So this is a good place to cut the video. I don't want these to be terribly long in this new series of build videos. What we have left to do, aside from the triple black velvet, is we need to hang the center channel speaker you see right there. I came up with a pretty ingenious way of hanging that. So in the next video, you'll see that because it's directly behind window, unfortunately. Then we will get the last acoustic panel installed on this door, which does contain one of the speakers. We will install the 4 Dolby Atmos ceiling speakers, which I've also come up with a clever way to mount those without doing, getting into the drywall. So once that's all done, we will clean up the wires and calibrate, and then we will be rocking and rolling, watching movies and listening to music with my girlfriend. So until next time, if you guys like this kind of content and if you enjoyed the video, you found it useful and helpful, please hit the thumbs up button for me. And I've been looking at my analytics, and I've noticed that about 90% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed. It would be very great if you could do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It'll help me out more than you could possibly know. Every year, the YouTube algorithm just gets worse and worse. So I know you're probably tired of hearing everyone say this. You're thinking, what difference can it possibly make? It makes a huge difference. I'm not talking about in terms of money, I'm talking about just in terms of views and getting this channel sent out to people who are passionate about home theater and movies and music, people who may want to get into this hobby. So please do me a huge favor, help me get to 5,000 subscribers, hit the subscribe button for me, and then hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when my next video drops. Until next time, thank you very much for watching and happy listening.